Even when something seems impossible and the developers are directly opposed to allowing it, players will find a way. Little things, cracks in the system, will be found and exploited to their maximum potential. Sometimes players push so far that developers are given no choice but to add features they had sworn they never would. The things that were once revolutionary are now passé, and the community moves on. This video is about one such time. In my opinion, the most interesting forgotten mechanic Minecraft has ever had. How it was discovered, the period of chaos that ensued, and the lasting impact it had on Minecraft's philosophy. This is the history of Minecraft's most useless item, the minecart with spawner. But first, advertisement. If you make stuff in Minecraft, you need a Minecraft server. Whether it's for collaboration, playing with your friends, or hosting your project for the public to enjoy, it's practically essential. And the best way to set one up is with this video's sponsor, Hostinger makes setting up a Minecraft server literally so easy. Let's hear from our on-scene reporter, Legitimoose. Hi Legitimoose, I'm here on the Hostinger website. These are some of the best value hosting plans you're gonna find, especially when you use coupon code Legitimoose at checkout for 10% off. With a Hostinger VPS, you've got full root access, unlimited game instances, and unlimited players. Full root access? That sounds complicated. Not at all. Hostinger's game panel lets you install mods with just one click. You can get playing in minutes. Wow, that's incredible. Every server uses NVMe storage for super fast start times, comes equipped with DDoS protection, and has automated backups. Go get yourself a Minecraft server right now by clicking the link in the description and using code Legitimoose at checkout. It helps support the channel.
Hey guys, I just want to show you a project I've been working on in Minecraft.
Ever since Redstone was added to the game in 2010, players have sought a way to ignore its most basic mechanic: wires. Wireless Redstone was always a bit of a pipe dream. The dream of being able to transmit a signal to activate contraptions from a distance was something people were constantly looking for. Short-range skulk sensors aside, Minecraft provides no options for this in the vanilla game. However, this didn't stop players from finding a way. Even back in the day. November 20th, 2011, Test 137E29 steps onto the scene with his second public YouTube upload, long-range wireless redstone. In older versions of Minecraft, there was a quirk with how block collisions worked. When a block's hitbox could come in multiple shapes, such as glass panes connected on different sides or pistons facing different directions, only one of those shapes would be in use at a time. Globally. This meant shooting an arrow into a right-facing piston would make all extended pistons collide as if they were facing right, at least when colliding with other arrows. Since arrows can be moved around by pistons and activate redstone with pressure plates, this meant you could detect where an arrow had most recently landed, either on a left or right-facing piston. This technique had many variations, such as this popular design with a boat being pushed upwards by a glass pane. This was clearly not an intentional feature on the part of the developers, but that didn't stop players from finding it and using it while it was in the game. Monster spawners have been a part of Minecraft for a long time. Since InfDev, they've done what they said on the tin. Spawned, well, monsters. Technically, they could be set to spawn any entity using external tools like MCEdit, but that was it. On June 27th, 2012, a snapshot of the version that would become 1.3 was released, adding new spawner metadata. Now, again, only using external programs to manipulate saves, spawners could spawn mobs with custom metadata such as armor, weapons, and, well, I think that's all Mojang intended for, but players realized you could also spawn mobs that already had position data, making them appear at a certain location. Spawners would only activate when the players were near them, and would keep spawning mobs until 6 of the spawner's entity type were nearby. In September later that year, Snapshot 12W39B added more spawner customization, now allowing players to choose the activation range, delay, and how many of the selected entity type could be spawned before the spawner would deactivate. Several of these features were actually suggested by prominent community figure and beloved Redstone YouTuber, SethBling.
Thanks to Dinnerbone for letting me know about them and listening to me when I requested a lot of them, because a lot of these have been requests of mine. They just impact the game so much.
We'll be hearing a lot more about him soon. Minecraft 1.4.2 was dubbed the Pretty Scary Update. And while the theme was clear, with them adding bats, witches, and withers, it also subtly snuck in major features for map makers. 1.4.2 was the update that added command blocks. Nowadays, you might know command blocks as being basically a full-fledged programming language inside of Minecraft, now being overshadowed by the literal programming language available through data packs. Back in 1.4.2 though, they were remarkably underpowered. All you could really do was give players items, teleport players, and send messages in chat. All this, however, was entirely impossible before, so mapmakers were pretty hyped. Alongside command blocks were the monster spawner changes I mentioned before, now being able to spawn mobs where you wanted them, with a customizable activation range and wait a minute. That's right, Mojang had finally given players all the tools they needed for non-jank-based wireless redstone, and the addition of command blocks that could only be activated by redstone made this all the more useful. Instead of spawning monsters, how God intended, players would deviously hack their monster spawners to spawn falling sand entities. Foreshadowing. Something else now possible was the ability to customize what block the falling sand actually was. It didn't have to be sand. Players could make it instead be a falling redstone, thereby completing a circuit when it landed. Due to the fact the spawner could be anywhere in the world when it was activated and the redstone could also be spawned in anywhere, the community finally had functional wireless redstone. Unsurprisingly, Mojang's addition of several massive map-making features in a single update dramatically increased the quality of Minecraft maps being put out around this time. On November 3rd, the first map I can remember truly blowing me away was released. Herobrine's Mansion by Hypixel? This map featured many revolutionary features, such as custom potions, item sets and other unique items, elite monsters that has 35% chances to drop demonic set, storyline by command blocks, and Herobrine. This map was actually crazy for the time. Before this, spawning in bosses with fancy armor and weapons, having a working shop, having massive bosses that changed in appearance by teleporting you to new areas, NPCs that talked in chat via renamed command blocks, all of this was new. And 2 months later, it was already old. January 2013, Snapshot 13W03A made that entire spawner wireless redstone thing pointless. I bet you're really glad you listened to me explain it though. You have to admit, it was kind of charming. Now, through the use of the new Test4 command, command blocks could detect players' location, rotation, XP level, game mode, and more. I find it amusing how the most useful command present in that era, /Test4, is no longer in the game at all. It shows how far things have come in terms of map-making features. On February 7th, another snapshot came out, this time adding a quirky feature. Spawners in minecarts. You might think this came along with a new structure, or maybe some kind of way to transport spawners in survival. But no, this was a feature reserved for creative mode. To this day, there is no way to see one in survival. And just like spawners, there was no way to edit what they spawned without the use of external tools. At this time, I was convinced Mojang had to be going somewhere with this, but seemingly, they just added them for the sake of adding them. I guess the idea was you set up a rail system in an adventure map to make mobs spawn when the minecart is in position? Really, they had no obvious applications at all. Unless your name happened to be SethBling.
Minecraft Snapshot 13W6A is here.
Because on February 7th, the very day minecart with spawners were added to the game, SethBling made a video talking about just how powerful they could be. Remember back in September 2012, when spawners gained the ability to choose the amount of entities to spawn in a single place before stopping, and to have a customizable delay? The example showed by SethBling on February 7th was for a fountain. First, a regular mob spawner would be configured to be active from any distance and spawn very quickly. The entity it was set to spawn? A minecart with spawner. This spawner minecart was itself configured to spawn falling sand, where the sand was actually water, and to spawn with a set position and velocity. This minecart was also set to spawn very fast, but critically, it had a slight delay set for the first time it would begin spawning. Once this spawner minecart was in the world, it would continuously spawn water at the position of this fountain, making it look like water was flowing out the top. However, adjacent to the block with the spawner minecart in it, there was a dispenser containing lava. When it was activated, the minecart would be destroyed. The spawner beneath would continuously try to respawn it, but due to that delay on the spawner minecart, it would be destroyed again before it could start spawning water. This meant that by powering the dispenser, you could activate and deactivate a spawner with redstone, something that was previously completely impossible. Let's jump back in time a bit. Shortly after 12W26A added the option to spawn entities with custom metadata, SethBling posted a video called 3D Animation in Minecraft Without Mods. This was pretty remarkable and netted him over 1 million views. The video showed a short 4-frame animation of a tree growing, encased entirely in glass. To many among you, it will already be obvious what's going on. He's got spawners, each set with a different delay, set to spawn falling blocks to form each frame. The glass is necessary because falling blocks have a tendency to fall. Therefore, they need supporting blocks to be placed as well. Glass was chosen presumably because it was see-through and weak to explosions. To remove each frame and make room for the next, TNT was spawned at the position of every block. Now, hold this technique with the exploding TNT to delete blocks in your head. It will be relevant later. Now let's go back even further. In March 2012, Minecraft's competitive scene looked nothing like it does today. PvP wasn't so much a perfected scientific art form as a bunch of people who kind of knew what they were doing, duking it out in tournaments on specially made maps. One such format that was popular at the time was RFW, Race for the Wool. Similar to other Complete the Monument type maps of that era, RFW's premise was straightforward. There would be a long, narrow map full of challenges and obstacles, and hidden in the map were 3 wool blocks. The first team to retrieve all the wool and place it on the monument was the winner. Maps were mirrored, so each team could see their opponents, but only interact with them through ranged attacks. Crossing over to the other side, except on select maps, was against the rules. One tournament with a particularly star-studded cast was the Reddit RFW tournament. The winners of the first tournament were Team Redstoners, a team with some people you just might have heard of. SethBling, EthosLab, FV Disco, yes, the person who made Temple of Notch as well as about half the top maps on Planet Minecraft, and Craft Dynasty, who I could forgive you for not immediately knowing as the creator of 20 more doors in 60 seconds, and its precursor, 20 doors in 60 seconds. Today, though, our focus lies not on the Redstoners, but the man behind the team who defeated them. TrazLander applied to the Reddit Minecraft tournament more or less on a whim, pulling together a team of him, his brother, and 2 online friends from a World of Warcraft guild. They took their team name from the very same guild, calling themselves Whiskey Brigade. After hearing about the Reddit tournament following the Redstoners' win, Whiskey Brigade applied to join, and quickly came to dominate the competition. Rising through the brackets, they came out victorious in the second tournament. Naturally then, a champions match was organized, pitting the winners of the first and second tournament against each other. Whiskey Brigade was a tricky team to be up against. They made a point to always have a gimmick. In each new match, they would come in with some goofy strategy. Whether it was knocking Silverfish onto the opponent's side with a knockback 10 sign, or building a gas cannon to shoot fireballs from a spot no one could reach, TrazLander in particular was always inventing new gimmicks for the team. This, along with their general PvP skill, allowed them to come out victorious. This was not the first time TrazLander had gotten SethBling's attention, however. Several months back, TrazLander uploaded their first video, a blaze farm using some tech inspired by a SethBling video. Seth saw this and did their part, liking, commenting, and subscribing. For anyone who is unaware, in 2012, merely liking a video would notify your subscribers. Traz's first upload being liked by SethBling immediately brought several thousand people to see it. Seth was already vaguely aware of TrazLander's existence, but after being beaten by their team in the Champions match, it's safe to say they had gotten their attention. It was around this time that TrazLander and the rest of Whiskey Brigade began working on Race for the Wool maps of their own. In addition, TrazLander and Rixiot, another Whiskey Brigadier, created a competitive map called Nail. After competing together, they were able to get EthosLab to agree to play it with them. While at first skeptical, after hearing Etho had already agreed, SethBling also agreed to join. SethBling was apparently very impressed by what he saw, and TrazLander moved up yet another tier in the metaphorical mapmaker hierarchy. He was even allowed access to a very secretive group chat. More on that later. On March 18, 2013, TrazLander started his most popular series on YouTube to date, Genius Mapmaking, showing off a variety of tricks he had picked up and giving back to the mapmaking community. On May 11, 2013, at 3:22 a.m., TrazLander hit upload on a video titled Nothing's Impossible. Nothing's Impossible was a quick 3-minute video in which several previously thought to be impossible things took place. Walking up to a sign with ASCII art of a cake, Traz flips a lever, and the sign turns into cake before disappearing entirely. Somehow, the lever is again unflipped. On the second flip, the seemingly indestructible bedrock wall collapses into nothing. Another lever appears in the distance. The video continues on like this, as a house falls from the sky. The house is shown to somehow be hollow, something you would think would be impossible given that falling blocks have to land on something to solidify. The magic lever gets flipped again, and the house changes palettes, becoming stone brick and then the iconic sponge and cobweb palette. We've all been there. The house returns to normal as the wall falls away. Treasure appears, and after seeing a chest containing a cake, the floor begins to jitter and cake rains from the sky. Crucially, the video was posted without any explanation, with the description only saying it was done 100% in Minecraft 1.5.2. It's safe to say the community was completely blown away by this. No one in the comments had a clue how this was possible. The video amassed 99,000 views in the first 4 days, and out of everyone who watched, only one person correctly guessed what was happening.
This guy in our server, Kazik, who's like, this was the time zero thing you're using to do this, isn't this?
TrazLander awoke the morning after posting that video to a message on Skype from none other than SethBling. All caps, "What did you do?" Now, let's take a moment and talk about time values. Every falling sand entity tracks the number of game ticks it has been alive. Every tick, this value is checked for 3 things. 1. If it's been alive for over 600 ticks or 30 seconds, destroy the sand. 2. If it's over 100 and is in the void, also destroy it. The third thing is interesting. If you spawn falling sand with a time of 0, aka the default, it will immediately disappear. Therefore, typically when spawning structures with falling sand, you would want to set the time value to 1. Then it would count up and fall for up to 600 ticks. However, if the falling block is inside a block with the same ID when the time goes from 0 to 1, it will instead cause the block it's inside of to fall. Back then, people knew about this, and it was generally just regarded as a strange behavior that was kind of a nuisance, because you always had to set the time to 1 if you wanted your falling blocks to not instantly disappear. That is until TrazLander showed up. 2 weeks before uploading Nothing's Impossible, TrazLander was experimenting with falling sand, and unintentionally created a setup where he was spawning falling sand with time 0 inside an existing block of the same ID. This caused it to fall. It wasn't until later that day, when TrazLander was at work, that he had an epiphany. The sand had deleted the block. If you'll remember back to a few minutes ago, the previous method for deleting blocks by spawning TNT was extremely inconsistent, slow, and generally not that usable. This method, however, had the potential to improve on all of those things. In fact, TrazLander realized not only was the sand deleting a solid block, but if you spawned another falling block at the same time and timed it to land first, you could effectively replace any block with any other block, regardless of if their IDs matched. After anxiously waiting through the rest of his uneventful shift, TrazLander got home and began experimenting, quickly proving his theory correct.
Oh God, I did it! Oh my God, I did it!
So who did he tell about his new discovery? Well, no one. Instead, he kept experimenting, gradually building up a demo world that he would reveal in a video. Despite the fact that many people at the time were using spawned falling sand, he was confident no one else would discover this, as the requirements of the trick were so particular. This became TrazLander's life for the next 2 weeks. Wake up, go to work, then come home and work on the Minecraft world for 8 hours each night, and go to bed. That brings us back to the morning of May 11th. Following SethBling's incredulous DM, TrazLander agreed to make a new showcase map for SethBling's channel, which would be uploaded with a link to an explanation on TrazLander's channel. After 4 days of constant work, TrazLander sent his showcase map over to SethBling, who, on May 14, 2013, posted a video titled TrazLander's Magic Minecraft Blocks. This video included more of the mystical trick: a staircase appearing on the side of a hill, blocks spinning around, a big door opening. At the time, a major controversy was the upcoming change to the lapis texture. From this cool, smooth blue block to this horrible tiled mess. One person who was particularly outspoken was the YouTuber MC Gamer, who TrazLander was friends with through his participation in the PvP scene. Therefore, this showcase map was actually a tribute to him in a way, a fact that I think almost no one picked up on, seeing as Traz's comment on the video, "I'm sorry MC, he couldn't save it, he let us down," amassed a whopping 0 likes. On the same day as TrazLander's Magic Minecraft Blocks, TrazLander himself uploaded Genius Mapmaking Episode 15, Wizardry, which explained the trick in great detail. Due in part to being linked to by SethBling's video, Wizardry would go on to be Traz's most viewed video of all time. Now that this spawner tech was in the hands of the community, let's talk about what they got up to. One of the first creations to garner attention was Twitch Nitro's working Mega Piston, a 16x16x16 piston that would go from retracted to extended in just under 2 minutes, assuming you remembered to allocate a little extra RAM to run it. This video is currently sitting at 2.4 million views, again showing just how impressive this was for the time. The community was clearly entranced by the sheer size of the redstone, as a giant network of wired up spawners took up most of the space on the world. Nowadays, the description states, edit, this was done before command blocks had most of the commands they have today. I'll say. SethBling was credited as the inspiration for this video, with his Minecraft Mega Blocks series, and 4 days after it was posted, he showcased it on his channel as well. 5 days after that, on May 30th, SethBling would create his own structure spawner MC Edit filter, replacing the previous tool that TrazLander and Twitch Nitro had been using. This filter wouldn't see use for long though, as on June 4th, SethBling would debut his structure spawner filter V2, along with a recreation of the Mega Piston. This version was 4 times faster. Blink and you'll miss it, because SethBling's version of the Mega Piston could extend in a mere 30 seconds. Really, things couldn't be going better for the Minecart with Spawner. Minecraft 1.6 came and went with no big changes,
Except the lapis texture!
but on September 6th, the Minecart with Spawner would receive its first major blow since its nigh inexplicable addition. Snapshot 13W36A added a command to spawn entities, /summon. This could do everything a spawner could do, but better, faster, smaller, more precisely, and without the use of MC Edit. 2 days after the addition of /summon, people were making tutorials and rejoicing in the streets, shouting, "Wireless redstone is here!" Using /summon, you could summon a falling redstone block, which would power a circuit when it landed. Way back, when TrazLander first started rising in the ranks as a mapmaker, he was added to a secretive group chat, containing SethBling and many other top technical players, as well as Dinnerbone and several other Mojang developers. Here, the experts in the community would directly give feedback and suggestions to the developers working on Minecraft. On several occasions, the Redstoners had asked Mojang to add a /place command to allow them to place and destroy blocks with command blocks. Mojang was hesitant to allow this. Whether they thought it violated the spirit of the game, would be too powerful, too difficult to code, or any number of other reasons, they would typically give non-committal answers, saying it wasn't possible at the time. However, when /summon was added to the game, Mojang did not realize they had just given players exactly that ability. Using TrazLander's block swap trick, you could not only place blocks with falling sand, but destroy and replace them as well. I personally believe this was unintentional and unplanned on Mojang's part. However, it didn't take long for them to realize what they had just done. On September 6th, the very same day that /summon was released in a snapshot, Jeb, lead developer of Minecraft, tweeted this. I suppose @Dinnerbone or I will have to add a /place command to replace the quirky /summon falling sand shenanigans. The following week, when Snapshot 13W37A released, it contained just that, /setblock. When the full update came out containing all the features from the snapshots, including summon and setblock, the spawner minecart, along with all the falling sand tech, was officially dead. In fact, the spawner minecart was not just dead, it was comically useless. Its brief time in the spotlight like a glitch in the timeline. It was added without a clear purpose, yet became so useful that it forced Mojang's hand on an issue they were previously unwilling to budge on, and in doing so, enacted its own obsolescence. It might be fun then to ponder, what if Mojang had never added summon and set block? What would the world look like today if spawner minecarts continued to dominate the technical Minecraft scene for even a few more years? How powerful could they have become? Could we live in a world where people made ray-traced Minecraft in Minecraft games using chains of spawner minecarts? The world may never know, as over 11 years since 1.7's release, the minecart with spawner continues to be a confusing relic of the past. They didn't even bother adding it to Bedrock Edition. #save the lapis block.